Welcome back to the Compressor Guru. Today we're going to have another education day. We're not tearing anything apart. We're not putting anything together. We're going to go over some typical brass and controls that we deal with on a regular basis. I get calls all the time. Hey, my regulator blew up. We actually covered this in the glossary episode that we just did. But my regulator is acting up. Well, friends, these are pressure switches. And I have a couple of them here. I just wanted to point out that not all pressure switches are created equal. This pressure switch, for instance, has 1/4 inch port and it has an unloader. And this is preset from 150 to 175. Pressure switches can be set as low as 40 pounds. They use the exact same type switch without the unloader. They use the exact same type switch on water wells. You can buy these at your electrical supply store and they're set for 40 pounds and they're actually meant for starting and stopping your water pump on your deep well. But we have these and they're for air, and all pressure switches are not created equal. This pressure switch also is set for 150 to 175. But take note, the unloader's in a different place. That's not really a big deal. It's just a matter of where you run your copper tubing. But this one has an on-off switch. This one doesn't. This one has 4 ports. They're all 1/4 inch. And this one screws into the tank. This might be for a safety valve. This might be for a gauge, and this might be for another control line of some type. But when you go to order your pressure switches, you need to be thinking about several things. One, what pressure do I need? If it's a two-stage, the pressure is generally 175 pound, and where you want it to kick in at will be 150 pound. Now, neither one of these pressure switches have an adjustable. No, they don't. Neither one of these pressure switches has an adjustable differential. All pressure switches are not created equal. Sometimes some of your pressure switches will have an extra spring and adjustment tower right here, and it's not as tall. And that's the adjustment for your differential. So you could actually set it to come on at turn off at 175, but you can set them to turn on at 100. You can, instead of just being a 25 or 30 pound differential from where they turn on to turn off, you can actually adjust your second screw and have a big difference. Once again, neither of these are like that. These are preset differentials. But I told you that just to let you know that not all pressure switches are created equal. We can get you any kind of pressure switch you want and drop ship it anywhere in the contiguous 48. These switches come with and without your unloader, and they come with and without your on-off switch. When you're looking for a pressure switch, don't just go to the store and they go, oh, we got one here, and take it off the shelf. You've got a lot of details to look at. And I hope you look at those details because they matter. Moving on. Not all check valves are created the same. And I'm missing one. Oh, there it is. Not all check valves are created the same. Once again, these all do the same thing. These keep the air in the tank when the compressor shuts down. However, you notice that this is a 1/2 inch male pipe thread here, and this is actually a 1/2 inch flared thread for attaching a flared piece of copper tubing onto this.
Show the other side again, without moving it too fast. That's the flared side. Show me the other side.
This side, this is a 1/2 inch male pipe thread. And you'll notice it's got a couple ports. These are 1/8 inch female pipe thread ports. And this might be someplace you put a pop-off valve, or run a port to run to an unloader, like the unloader on here. If you run a copper tube from here to here, when you would shut this down, it would bleed the air off that's in this side until it was down to 0, and the compressed air would stay in the tank. And most of these have that port, and if you're not using that port, you put an 1/8" pipe plug in it. Now, not all check valves are created equal. This is one that is for a compression fitting. This is a 3/8 compression fitting, I think. I have to put it.
Keep in mind your fingers
Oh,
show you, but not us.
okay. I don't have a tape measure, and I'm shooting without my glasses because our lighting's not good here. But this is a compression fitting on this side, and this side is 1/2" male pipe again. And it only has one port. Not all check valves are created equal. So this is an internally flared 3/4" check valve, and this part right here goes to the large copper pipe coming off the compressor, and essentially the fitting that goes in here looks like a giant brake flare fitting. And this also has 2 ports, and this port is for an 1/8" copper internally flared fitting, and this is actually the Ingersoll switch and the Ingersoll check valve. And once again, the copper tube goes from here to this unloader, and on the other side is a 1/4" female fitting. And normally what goes in there on the Ingersolls is a pop-off valve. And so I'm trying to make the point that not all check valves are created equal. This is a 1" check valve, 1" female on one side, 1" male on the other side, and it's ported, and it's got an 1/8" plug in it for an unloader. And this is a brand new check valve. It doesn't look like it's been rolling around in a toolbox for a while, but this is a brand new check valve, and it does the exact same job as this one, as these two. And so when you go looking for your check valves, you want to make sure that you know your sizes, you know what type of copper tubing or what type of flaring you need from the compressor to hook to the check valve, and you want to know what size check valve you need to go into the tank. Now, we're talking a lot about using unloaders, but let's say you have a little compressor, and these are check valves, but not all check valves are created equal. This is a 3/4" pipe thread, and the top side is a 3/4" female pipe thread. But this one acts as your unloader. When the inside of this, see that shift? That's like the air's flowing out of it from when the compressor's running, but when the compressor shuts down, that moves back, and this is machined inside to where
Do that again. I got him really zoomed in there.
Oh, okay. When the air's flowing, that is pushed down and the air flows into the tank. But when the compressor shuts down, that goes back in. And when it goes back in, it opens, there's a little spool that opens up where this little pinhole is, and this actually bleeds off the compressed air from here to the compressor head. So once again, not all check valves are created equal. This is the same thing in a different size. So when you go shopping for a check valve because you have a check valve that went bad, you're going to want to take and make sure you have your sizes and your fitting sizes and your fitting types right. So we're going to slide these off to the side. A little earlier I mentioned that, we'll just use these. A little earlier I mentioned that your safety valves, your pop-off valve, can go screwed into your pressure switch like that, and this would be to protect your tank. This would be a 200 psi, and they make these in all different pipe sizes, but the only ones I stock are 1/4 inch, and that's 99% of all applications. They're 1/4 inch. So this is a safety valve, and if you get over 200 pound pressure on this, it opens up so you don't blow a tank up. We had a few pictures of these in the tank safety videos. Anyway, and the other place these will go, and these will be sized at 325 for the Ingersoll, and it's protecting the copper tube from here to the compressor. So there's different applications for a safety valve. So despite the fact this is 1/4 inch, this would be a 325 pound safety valve. So with these safety valves, they come in different sizes, but most of them are 1/4 inch, and they come in different pressures. Your pressure for this safety valve is dictated by the application. If it's on the top of the compressor head, it might be anywhere from 60 to 100 pound to protect the intercooler. If it's on the discharge side before the check valve, it might be 200 pound to protect an aftercooler, or it might be 325 pound to protect the tube going from the compressor to the tank if there's no aftercooler. And they're 200 pounds on a 200 pound tank. They might be on a lower pressure rated tank, and these come basically in about every 5 or 10 pound increments from 60 clear through 325. So they all look the same, but not all safety valves are created equal. That seems to be the theme to this episode. We may even name the episode "Not All Brass is Created Equal." So, not all check valves are created equal. Tell you what else isn't created equal. A lot of you may not recognize these, but these are for gas-driven compressors. And these are actually called load jennies. And the air from the compressor goes in here and then into the tank. And this side, this is for an Ingersoll, this has the internally flared fitting that is typical on the Ingersolls. And this one serves the exact same functions, except both sides are female pipe threads. Only one side on this is a female pipe thread, and the other side is the internally flared fitting. When you reach full pressure, this is not a pop-off valve. This is actually your controller. And when you reach full pressure, this pops out, and instead of directing air to the tank, it closes a valve in here and directs the air that's being pumped out this little muffler, so the air goes back to atmosphere. And this little port here, which is sealed off on this one, you take that pipe plug out and you run an air line to the slave cylinder on your gasoline engine, and when this pops out, this opens air up that goes over to your gas engine and idles your engine down from 3,600 full RPMs down to perhaps 700 to 1,000 RPM, and the machine just sits there and idles, and what air it makes, it puts out to atmosphere. Like I said, not all these things are created equal. This one is different in the respect of the way it's configured, but also the fitting sizes. And here's the port to go to the engine on this one, and it looks different. There's a few differences. So whenever you're looking, and this is a normal replacement item on your gas-driven compressors, especially the ones that mount on the your service trucks that do heavy equipment repair, because they put them out there and that sets on the truck just like that, and when the rain comes it runs right down that little peg, and these wear out prematurely because they're out in the weather. But we sell these also. So you're going to go, geez, we know that. Not all gauges are created equal. Most gauges are 1/4 inch. There's some that are 1/8, and there's a few out there that are different sizes. But this is a 0 to 300 gauge. They're both the same size face. Everything's the same, but there's something different. This one mounts on the back. This one mounts on the bottom. And these are 0 to 300. I would put these on a 200-pound tank. If I was putting a gauge on a single stage machine, I might use a 0 to 200 gauge. If
Why don't you turn both their little faces toward me?
If I would, and we don't do much in hydraulics, but if somebody wanted a gauge for hydraulics, certainly these wouldn't be it, because your pressures in hydraulics would blow these apart. So even your gauges, not all things are created equal. There's one more thing I want to talk to you about, what's not created equal, and these are called pilots, or aux valves, or governors. And it all depends on, actually it depends on who you're buying them from. Ingersoll calls them aux valves. Quincy calls them a pilot. Some companies call them a governor. And what they do, these can go on either a gas-operated machine with head unloaders, or they can go on an electric-driven machine. And what we call them is, if these go on an electric motor that has a pressure switch, we call this a dual pilot. So if you mount this is for a Quincy. This is a Quincy. If you mount this on a Quincy machine, this tube goes to the heads where there's head unloaders, and if this is screwed all the way in, this doesn't operate, and it pumps up to 175 pound, and the pressure switch turns your machine off. If you turn this out and this gets to 150, it's preset, gets to 150 pounds, this internally changes and sends air to the head unloaders, and instead of that compressor pumping, it sets there in freewheels. And the reason for using these, if you have a compressor that's starting in thank you, camera wife. When you would want to use this would be if your compressor is starting and stopping more than 6 times an hour or once every 10 minutes. You turn this valve out and let your compressor go to idle and then kick back in, and it's easier on the belts. The compressor runs smoother, runs cooler, and there's less spikes in your electric bill for restarting your compressor every less than 10 minutes. And it will actually it's actually easier on the electric bill to run a dual pilot on a compressor that's starting and stopping, instead of letting it start and stop, have it load and unload. So this works very much the same way, and this is an Ingersoll control for the exact same setup, and this can be used on a gasoline engine as well. However, it has to be used in conjunction with a compressor that has a head unloader, and these are made for machines that don't have head unloaders, that you're doing all your unloading through this mechanism. So, and this is a cheap version of this. And so these are pilots, aux valves, governors, whatever you want to call them. And we have these all available, and they come in multitudes of pressures. You can get them anywhere from 90 to 120, clear up to 175 pound. So even in these, they're all brass, they all do the same job, but they are not all created equal. Friends, I hope this was somewhat educational for you. That's why we're doing it. Make your life easier, make my life easier. And when you realize you have a compressor problem and you start your diagnosis and you need some parts, you can look at the part and go, what did I learn about that? Oh wait, there's different sizes, there's different pressures available, and don't just buy the first one you find, because you have to make sure it's going to fit you, pressure wise, volume wise, and even the pipe size. Anyway, and even the pipe size. You want to make sure it fits and matches up easily. Friends, this is the end of season 1. This is late May, and my wife and I would like you, I left my glasses on for this whole thing. So you're going to continue to see the lights in my eyes. Needless to say, now you realize we shot this in 2 parts. We're working on a truck with a breakdown.
Take them off now.
She's telling me to take them off now. Friends, this is the end of season 1. Season 2 will be coming out in a couple weeks. We have some ideas what we want to be doing. We'd love to rebuild a Quincy all the way through in the shop. Haven't had one in for a while. We're hoping for one of them. And we're looking for other projects. If you're in central Pennsylvania and need a service call, we'd be glad to come out. And maybe we'll bring the camera wife along and we'll film it if it's something that we haven't already covered on this channel. Friends, have a great day. God bless. We'll see you in season 2.
Thank you for watching this episode of The Compressor Guru. Please hit like and subscribe and use the notify bell so you will know when the next new episode is released from The Compressor Guru. God bless you and have a great day.